Alright, fourth grade, welcome along to another week of art time with Mr. Gabe. We're carrying on with the colour pencils and animal theme. So we've had a bunch now, haven't we? The hummingbird and the chameleon and the bear. This time, a snail. Yes, that's right, a snail. Now I want you to look and see the use of colours, especially on the shell, because we're really building on these skills that you guys are learning with blending colours, and I'm super impressed with what you're doing so far. You guys are making excellent progress with your drawing skills, and so we're just going to keep going with that. You've shown me that you can use controlled shading, like with the fur on the bear, or with the hummingbird, using the direction of line, and you've shown me that you can blend color and create shadows. So we're building on all of that, and really the shell of the snail is the challenge for this week, creating this effect of like a shiny part of the shell that looks like the light is shining on it. Yeah, and the body of the snail is similar to the chameleon, the same kind of technique that we used for the chameleon last week. Yeah, so that's it. Let's get going. The first thing we're going to do is just think about the shape of a snail shell. Of course, it's a spiral shape. So if that's my basic snail shell like that, I want to imagine that it's turned. Alright, so when you turn an object, you don't see it in the same way. This looks like a kind of like a flat shape, or if the snail was sort of moving in this direction, then we would be seeing the snail like perfectly from one side. But what we want in our picture is that the snail is kind of moving at an angle. What that means is we have to change the shape of the spiral. So watch how I do it this time. Now the snail's body can kind of change shape. Run out of page there, and made a very strange shape for a snail. Never mind, you get the idea here. It looks like the shell has changed the angle. Alright, so whereas this picture we're looking kind of directly at the flat side of the snail, in this picture we get the impression that the snail is turning. So this is the kind of shell that we want to draw for our picture. Keep that in mind and think about that three-dimensional effect as we continue now with the drawing of the snail. So I want the picture to fill the page. So the shell is going to be pretty big, but I also have to be mindful to leave space for the eyes to stick up. They're not really eyes, are they, with a snail? They're kind of like eyes. The eyes on stalks. So the shell is kind of going to be filling about this much of the page. Now, just a moment ago, when I drew those simple pictures of a snail, I just used a spiral to make the shell. But we're not going to do it that way for the actual picture. So here's what we're going to do instead. We're going to start with a shape that looks like this, kind of like a wave with a curved bottom. You see that? And then we're going to put a sort of circular shape inside that wave and see how it creates a second curve at the bottom here. Okay? After that, we're going to put another circular shape here and one more. Okay, like that. And straight away I'm going to just tidy up those lines. Next, the snail's body. And they have these other little, I don't know what they are, but they have these other little kind of sensing stalks that come out of their head just like that. Maybe they're like the snail's nose somehow, like the eyes are on stalks. Maybe there's little nostrils in here. It senses the smell. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Maybe maybe one of you will be inspired to do some research about snails and find out more about their bodies. Alright, now I want to make the shell a bit bigger. The snail's body looks good, but now the shell looks a little bit small, so here's what I'm going to do. Just make that a bit bigger and just extend extend that side of the shell. That's better. Okay, let's talk about colours. The shell of my snail, first of all, is going to be an orange colour. So I have two oranges, darker and lighter, and then I also have two browns, slightly lighter and darker again. I have a yellow too. So my main colour, orange, and then darker and lighter. You don't have to have two oranges and two browns. It's fine if you just have one. So if you have orange, yellow and brown, that's fine too. But I'm going to be using these range of colours. Mostly the shell is going to be orange, so I'm going to begin with that colour. Now, what I want to do is leave a white space along this side of the shell. So I'm just going to put my orange colour going down the centre like a stripe. And also, the direction of shading is important. Side to side, coming down the shell like it's a big stripe. Of course, this is going to be a smaller stripe, not as wide as that one. So now I'm using my darker orange and I'm going to blend that into the first orange that I did. If you don't have this darker orange, you can try with red, or you can go straight to the brown. Now the brown. Now I have the darker brown too, but you know, if you don't have it, just carry on with the same brown. Now I'm just going to take the eraser and take out some of this pencil here. Alright, now I'm going to take the yellow for these edges that we've left, but I don't want them to be completely yellow. I don't want to shade in the yellow, but I just want to do some yellow lines in that space like this. And now I'm using the yellow to blend into that edge just a little bit. Now, in the same way that we did these yellow lines extending into the white, what we're going to do now is with each color we're going to extend some lines into the color next to it. So I have this darker orange that's going to extend into the lighter orange, right? Just like that. And then I have the brown that's going to extend into that slightly darker orange. Okay. I also have that very dark brown, so I can do a little bit with that too. And then repeat in the next section. Now here, see how I'm changing the line to go around the shell. See if when I use the brown, you'll see that more maybe. Okay, so that makes the shape, doesn't it? That helps us see the shape. This furthest edge of the shell needs to have a line as well. I'm going to use the orange, just faintly to start with. So before we move on to the snail's body, let's just add a little bit of shadow underneath the shell, some more shadow at the bottom of the shell here. My snail's going to have a kind of pinky grey brown sort of body, and we're going to start in the same way as we did with the chameleon, which is to add these sort of spots. Now with a grey, I'm going to shade very lightly over the body like this. When I get to this part of the body, I'm going to leave a little white section in the middle. And now I have my pinky colour again, and I'm going to go over, shade over that grey. Alright, so here I'm going to press a little harder for these eye stalks or stems. And now we're going to use the grey to outline some of these blobs. And the little, whatever these things are, just give them a little outline. Making a shadow down this side and under the shell. Finally, the underside of the slug is going to be much darker, so I'm going to use the grey and also a bit of brown here. Alright, now I am going to use the black to do the eyes. And just add in some extra shadow with the black too, just to really darken the darkest parts of the picture. And that's it, that's the finished picture. I hope you guys enjoy this week's art challenge, and like always, don't forget to share your work.